Thank you all for joining us, and special thanks for the international participants joining us today and challenging us to have this webinar in English. So as you all probably noticed, it's not my native language, but we'll do our best. Okay, so we're happy to be here, happy to have you here with us. We're going to talk today about the specific RFI. That's our main purpose. We want to share with you the information and the path we've been through in order to be able for you to understand where we are and be able to help us by replying to our RFI. My name is Yael Rosenberg. I work in the IIA, Israel Innovation Authority, for R&D for R&D infrastructure for the Israel ecosystem. I guess we are all familiar with the formats. We can talk, you guys can listen. More than welcome to write questions. We will do our best to finish our talk on time and be able to take all your questions. And the question that is always asked is if this is recorded and will be sent. So yes, we will send you this. We will send you the recording of this meeting, of course, with the presentation attached. So I think that those are the most popular questions we ever get. I'm happy to ask Aviv to start with opening remarks. Dr. Aviv Ze'evi, VP of Technology Infrastructure Division.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. So I'm not sure I'm hearing myself because we have some renovation here. But the main idea for the Israel Innovation Authority is to support the industry, and we are trying to find the relevant infrastructure which are in market failures, and this is one of them. Actually, Dana will talk later on about the Bio-Convergence program, but in general, we are trying to focus on R&D infrastructure which the industry really needs, and we can help by encourage the relevant entities to establish this kind of infrastructure, and the bio devices is one of the ideas that's on the table. We've already funded 2 R&D infrastructure based on our new model. The new model means that we are building an R&D infrastructure which is focusing on the needs of the industry, by the industry, managed as a company for profit. And this is, I would say, a very innovative idea, not only in Israel, but also worldwide. Usually the infrastructure are built either by very large companies for themselves or by the government itself, managed by the government, or in the academia. And specifically, we are targeting this new model. I do hope that you will benefit from this webinar. The main idea is to understand better how to build the RFQ that we want to publish soon. We already have a guaranteed budget for this infrastructure, so we are not doing this just to understand if the need is there and then looking for budget. The budget is already here, and we hope to start the RFQ as soon as possible, already in the middle of 2023. I would like to thank Yael and Dana and everybody else who helped with this event. And Dana, please go ahead.
Thank you, Aviv. It's lovely to be with you this afternoon. So I'm just going to go with some slides to give a general idea of the Bio-Convergence scheme. And first of all, maybe a little bit about the Israel Innovation Authority, which some of you might know, but for those who don't, we are a government-funded entity, which our main efforts is around creating, establishing, enforcing the Israeli high-tech via funding in different schemes that we have. Other than that, we're also looking at how we can remove barriers and be catalysts for innovation in regard of regulation and other collaborations that we have with other ministries, as well as to have a lookout for the future. What are the trends? What are the potential growth and the future economic growth that Israel may benefit from? And as part of that, we have been constantly looking at different technological trends and initiatives as the ones that can be a leader, as maybe Israel can be a leader in the future. So some of them are depicted here, and there's different projects going on around each one of them. And the one that maybe I would like to give you a little focus on is the bioconvergence one. So what do we mean when we talk about bioconvergence? What do we actually aim to converge? So what we discovered when we had this thorough work that we did was that on the one hand, we have a significant strength in the ICT area in Israel. We have a flourishing high-tech ecosystem around cyber and other software-related technologies. And on the other hand, we also saw that we have a very good and strong human capital in the biology and life sciences related courses. And then we thought, how can we actually converge those multidisciplinary approach kind of thing that will enable us to create a new economic growth engine for Israel, which will also diversify the current high tech, which is, as I said, mainly based around software and engineering. And why do we actually think it's a growth engine? Because it has a huge potential market. And this is something that not us only think. This is actually from a report from McKinsey about 2 years ago, when they identified the convergence of technologies around biology and engineering to be a global leader in several markets. When they talk about not only human health, which is the first association perhaps with biology, but also in other terms such as energy, defense, and agriculture. So going from that point of view, we have created a national project or a national scheme that was then approved by a forum telem, which is a forum of different ministries. Part of them are from the educational bit and others from defense and other ecosystems that together decided that this is not only of interest to the Israel Innovation Authority as economic growth agent, but this is something that is actually in the scope of Israel as a government. And therefore, they decided to allocate specific funds from each of the ministries or each of the entities with that form to promote that cause. And as Aviv already mentioned, so we have that funding allocated on our behalf, which goes straightly and specifically to promote that cause. And we're going to do that in different verticals, So we're going to do it in different verticals. It's going to be some of them around, for example, human capital, which we're already just now announced that we have chosen 6 different companies to promote human capital training within the scope of converging biology and engineering. And this is a call that was already just now published the results, and we're going to have another call probably next year for proposals for that. And we also have the call that Yael is going to dig deeper into today, and I'm going to leave her that time to talk about the bio devices and system infrastructure. Next year, we're also anticipating to have another call for challenges, a program that's going to be a joint venture with Mafat, which is kind of the Israeli DARPA. And as well as we're going to have specific directed bioconvergence calls for the academia. And all of that are also alongside the usual or the nominal R&D funding that we give out through our current vehicles. And there we also want to promote bioconvergence. So this is on top of all the other things that we are doing. So I think I'm gonna kind of stop here, Yael, and I'm gonna maybe stop the share. And if you wanna go and dig deeper inside the infrastructure and the related biodevices infrastructure talk.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll do my share now. Okay, so we're doing a zoom in from the bigger project, which Dana just shared with us about big bioconvergence project. It had several pillars that are going to be developed or invested in this big project and budget. And today I want to focus on one specific R&D infrastructure, which is the biodevices or biosystems. So under this pink box that I just highlighted here, there are more than one infrastructure planned. So this is also an important zoom in to understand that within the big bioconvergence program, there are many pillars. One of them is R&D infrastructure, and within the R&D infrastructure, there are several, and the one we are discussing today is just one of them. So keep that in mind. What I would want to do today is walk through the lessons that we've learned up to now. So we did our research in the last several months. We had some open discussions with some of the people that are also here today with us. We asked our questions, and that's the open discussions, the first box on the left. We published the RFI because we want to hear from you. And it's really, I don't know how to emphasize how serious we are here, that we did our research, but we think that your inputs are going to be very, very valuable to us to think how we are taking this step forward. So we have published the RFI 2-3 weeks ago, I think. And today we're going to discuss the RFI to make sure that it is understood and the answers that we will get from you would be focused, meaning you understand us and then we can understand you and take into account your responses. The ending is end of January 2023. It will take us probably a month to read everything, present, get internal, share internal recommendations and get to a decision. The decision, so as mentioned, this is really an RFI. It's not something that we're sure we want to do. Looks positive, looks promising, but still we want to hear from you. So on Q1, we hope to reach the go, no-go decision. If everything goes well, we are focused, we know what we want to do. We do plan on initiating the RFP on 2023. And as Dana mentioned, and Aviv, there is a budget available for this. So we just want to make sure that we're using the budget for the right thing. Okay, now a little bit of general explanations before we go into this specific project. So just to make sure that we're talking about an R&D infrastructure as the same thing. We are talking about, when we talk about R&D infrastructure, we want to see something that is in a physical location, one or more, with having equipment. So it's not something virtual, with labs spread all over with no connection with them. It could be in more than one location, but there should be a connection between those labs, meaning they work together on a daily basis. They implement one each other, so they do something together. It's not just taking existing things and saying, okay, now there's something together. So there are going to be physical locations with R&D equipment. We are looking into having dedicated technical personnel working there, meaning people that's their day job. It's not something they do 10% of their time. It's not just giving their name to the place so the name is high valued. It is actually people that's their day job. That's what they do. That's what they dream about at night. And they're the experts to provide R&D services. They're the expert managers, expert teams to make this thing happen. And what we want is this R&D at this first focus to give R&D services to the industry, academia, and government. Obviously, it can do much more. We will go deeper inside that, but that's the basics. When we talk about an R&D infrastructure that gives R&D services, so this is what we have in mind. Next slide. Okay, so why do we think that this R&D infrastructure is relevant for the Bio-Convergence vision? We understand that today, companies that are doing bio devices, and we will talk soon about what bio device is, are challenged. They are challenged because the services they need are spread all over. It takes them time to find the persons that are experts in that. And because it's one-off, it's harder to find the right people, the right components they need to work with. So it takes them a lot of time to optimize their process. So one thing we think it will happen, it will accelerate existing companies in their R&D process. Another thing is that companies that are developing high-risk bioconvergence products anyways could save their initial investment and not buy this equipment and not have to have this dedicated personnel, which probably they don't need for 100% of their time. So they could mind their main focus and then have this R&D service center complement their services in whatever they need to do. We hope that by having this multidisciplinary research place, really innovating and unique things would come out of it. So we do think that by putting this R&D place together, focusing on bio devices, we will do something good in the bioconversion vision and help this ecosystem move forward. Okay, so when talking about bio devices and systems, on the one hand, we don't want to limit it to something very specific, but on the other hand, we do want to talk and try and explain what we see when we say bio devices systems. So maybe I'll start with, I don't know, a little bit of introduction or some background, and then we'll go back into these bullets. So when we talk about chips, I think we all understand now, some of us were already born to this world when they were existing, but we understand their advantages. We turn them on, they run, they keep on running, they do the same thing over and over. Their functionality is understandable. They work for hours, they don't stop, they don't get tired. They're accurate, they process the data, they store the data, we can move the data from one place to another. So we really get the advantage of the functionality of the chips. Now, we want to take the bio, we want to take the life science and add that on the chip, or add or do what regular bio procedures do them using chips. And we think that this will open a new world, new opportunities for implementation. So just for example, by designing a relevant maybe lab and chip capability, so taking a big lab and implementing the relevant functionality on a chip, we can repeat the tests over and over again on the exact same procedure. No human errors. We can scale that. We can continuously sense, measure, and monitor the entire process, keep the data, store it, analyze it, learn from it, correct the procedure automatically via whatever software upgrade, whatever we want to do, and do that again. So it's not only about automating the process or miniaturizing the complexity. It is also about the things that we can do with chips and the combination that we could do now if we combine the life science with this engineering. So we're talking about bio devices or biosystems. We're talking about, so it could be a device or a system. It could be a bioimaging device. It could be sensors. It could be biological systems with ICT interfaces. So all those combinations are relevant and valid to what we're talking about. Basically, it's taking these two worlds, combining them, the bio and the devices, combining them to one, and getting new functionalities out of that. I know that there are people here in the audience that are already doing things similar to this. So it's not totally new. It's not something that does not exist yet, but it's still very innovative. So companies that are working towards these directions are struggling these days. It takes them a long time to find the right people. Not all the equipment is here. Not all the experience they're looking for is relevant. So we do think that putting together this capabilities in one place would make a difference to the companies that are already in this domain or looking forward to developing products in these domains. Okay, so now we understand that because we are talking about an R&D and service center, the basic capabilities that are needed to put this infrastructure together are basically two. We are looking for a company that is interested in giving R&D services, a business company, something that wants to do it for profit, that sees the R&D services as its business. And we are looking for, could be one or two or more entities that have the knowledge and the relevant technical and technological abilities in these fields. So they could be people from the academia, health organization, other research centers, also within the R&D service companies. But we really do understand today that in order to make this relevant and cutting edge technology and giving services to the ecosystem here, we need these two very, very strong capabilities to exist in this one infrastructure. Things that we know from our experience that we want this R&D infrastructure to look like. So the management team needs to be people in the organization that specializes in the field and have industrial and business orientation. So we do want this place to be managed by a business view. We want this place to be stand alone and not always depend on funding from the government. We do want this organization to operate as a service center. I think I already mentioned this, a business model will allow, after a period of time, establishing and executing the center for a long time existence and being economic independent. And also something that I think is interesting, and we learned along the way talking to people, that there are a lot of things that already exist, a lot of services that are available here in Israel. And we do not want to duplicate them. There are infrastructures that are very, very expensive and already exist. And we do hope that once building this new infrastructure or new R&D center, they will be able to utilize whatever is existing here in Israel by cooperating in one way or another that will be relevant for you, but not starting from the beginning, from the first and basic equipment. And I will show here an example, but this is really, really just an example just to make the point. So in this slide, we can see that it is divided to two parts. One part is the technologies, services. So we see these as basic technologies available here in Israel. And the upper layer is the one that we think that this should be the focus and emphasis of this new environment. So for example, clean rooms are rooms that are available. Microfluidics device fabrication, you can find places doing that in Israel. But if we want to go to the next level and talk about these specific implementations we want to do now, probably what this new R&D infrastructure, and now moving to the pink, the upper side of this slide, what they need to focus on is the design, because this is going to be unique expertise of multidisciplinary people that need to be in one place in order to solve these challenges that will be brought to them by the companies. So design would be probably something very unique. Very unique designs would happen there. Being able to prototype, so to combine the different printing, the different devices that maybe would be manufactured in an existing semiconductor device fabrication, but then combining these two into one, probably that's going to be the specialty. So we talked about designing, prototyping, system tests. So once it is combined to a system, probably needs to have specific, unique system tests to validate the functionality. So we see those as the upper layer, dependent on existing services. Also probably new services in labs and facilities would need to be brought together. So for example, 3D printing involving biological tissues, probably that's a new thing that should be bought and placed in this new infrastructure. But what we're trying to emphasize is that we see an advantage of being able to use and utilize existing infrastructure and existing capabilities, and then we can grow on top of them. So instead of starting from stage 0, we start from stage whatever, 2, 3, I don't know where we are today, and we can grow from there. So that's something we would love to see happening if we can. Okay, now after I've been talking for a while, I think I'm almost summarizing here. I want to now put everything into one big picture. So the process we are in and the way we see it is now we are in the RFI, but looking forward in the initiation phase, IIA would bring the funding. It is 55% or 66% of the total budget. So we are talking here about tens of millions of dollars, okay? It's not, we're not saying an accurate number because that's also something we would like to learn from you guys, what you think is needed. And also the matching is also challenging. So whatever number we would say, the upper it will be, the higher matching you will need to bring if you're interested in doing that. So we are also minded to that. But still, the magnitude of the numbers is probably something around tens of millions of dollars for the initiation. 55 or 66% of that budget would be coming from the Israel Innovation Authority, and the rest would be matching from the establishing partners. As said previously on the previous slides, we do think and we do encourage this establishment to be with more than one partner. Each partner bring their strengths. So if it's an academia, bringing their very high-end researchers to be part of this place, and if it's an existing infrastructure that already gives R&D services, that could be a nice combination. If it's an international company that already has a lot of experience and has a lot of labs and personnel ready to give service, partnering with an Israeli group, that could be interesting. So really up to you to think about interesting groups. And it's not that we're limiting it to groups only. One could be part as well, but we're also something we want to hear from you. If you think it's relevant for you as a one-off or as a group, whatever you think, we'll be more than happy to hear. At that phase, the planning is yours. So looking forward, there's going to be an RFP. You're going to submit your plans. We choose one plan to be implemented, and then the planning and establishment of the infrastructure takes place. So that's the initiation. While execution, what happened the day after? So the day after, you are an independent center. We do not get involved. We do every quarter, but basically you own it. Whoever brings it up owns it. We expect you to be the service provider of the services, always monitoring what the market needs and enhancing and adding capabilities as you understand more and more. Obviously, doing a lot of biz dev and marketing to bring new and more customers from Israel, from all over the world. And we do think that this center needs to have local and international cooperations to make this a leading one, and not, just not a regular one. That's what we want to do. Talking about revenue generators, so we do think that this R&D center could be a standalone one after several years of government investments. We do think that R&D services are something that could be as an income that will make this profitable. But we do have in mind, and this is also up to you and up to whoever will want to bring this up, to add more services, not only R&D services. So training could be also a nice service and also a revenue generator for this place. Having in-home research groups that will get international grants would maybe create some internal IP that then could be used to sell as components, basic components to customers. That's also something that you can take into consideration, and we're more than happy to hear more ideas about what services this place can give. But obviously, it's highlighted here, the R&D services, because that's where we're coming from. So that's basic. That needs to be there, but then on top of that, there could be much more. Okay, so the RFI is out there. And I hope you all have the link. If not, you'll get this in the last slide when you get the slides in your email. We want to hear from you basically answers to 5 questions. First of all, we want to hear about you. If you guys are interested, let us know. We would love to know who is interested in building this, who are our partners, and what is your vision. Another thing that while having these previous conversations, we weren't sure, we want to hear your opinion, is if this center should be focused to specific areas or specific technologies. Should it be broad? Should it be limited to medicine? Should it be focused on agri-tech? Should it be limited to technologies? So we really would love to hear what you have to say about that. What is your vision? What do you think would make that relevant to as much companies as we can, and being with a valuable insights to the companies using these services. So after the focus areas, we would love to understand what are the suggested services, like what will it look like? What are the different labs? What are the different services? What is the relevant equipment to be part of that? Once we know that, once you know to tell us that, learn about the costs. And then we will be sure that we have the budget available and ready to implement the big dreams that we will have together. The financing model, I hope was understood. If not, I will recap it again. What we have in mind is financing this for 5 years. Each year we would finance it for 55 or 66% of government funding. The rest will be matching. It will be the entire 5 years will be tens of millions of dollars as the budget for the project. So that's basically the financing model. And that is basically it. We really want to call you guys to join us on the Bio-Convergence vision and help us bring this to reality by responding to the RFI. We will definitely read and take your responses into consideration while looking forward. I do want to share with you before I go to the questions. Are there any questions at all? I see that there are no questions by now. So if you have any questions, you can start now. If not, I will share with you what we can see here. So in the slides, I will send you, you will have my email for any question. Please feel free to call me. I will open in 1 second. I will stop this presentation and open a file that I'm sharing with you. This file is for you guys to sign up there and find each other, find people with same interests. And then you will be able to see if you want to group together to answer to the RFI, if you want to brainstorm together, if that's helpful to you at all. So this link is for you to sign up, and then you can find each other. These are the links to the RFI. This is the YouTube channel that you will later on find the relevant this webinar on. There was another poll I wanted to share with you. 1 second, let's see if I have it. Yeah, okay. Oh, the poll is in Hebrew. Apologies for the English-speaking people. I'm sharing something, looking forward for your replies. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this open and let's see the question I have. How are PIs in universities involved? Yuval Garini. So Yuval, this is, thank you for your question. So this is a question actually to the academia, to the universities themselves. If they want to have PIs as advisors in an advisory board, or they want to send their students to do some of their research in this environment. So it's really up to you to come with creative ideas of how you can be involved as a university PI. I hope I answered your question.
I just, can I add something?
Yes, please.
I just want to say that in case that a specific company wants to submit a proposal, we will be really pleased if you have any scientific background which is based on a faculty which is part of this initiative. Also in the synthetic biology infrastructure we had it. It was a joint forces of a company and of a university which have established a new company dedicated for the establishment of the R&D infrastructure. So we, in any scientific background or academic background to this kind of infrastructure is highly welcome, and I think we will even give some preferences to this kind of scientific background for offer proposal.
Okay, I have here another question from Jaron. In the best of all possible worlds, what would a perfect applicant organization look like currently? I hope I understand your question correctly, or asking what would someone trying to build this environment look from our point of view? What does the perfect one look like? So I think that one that could bring the capabilities of giving the R&D services and expertise in the world of this combination of two things we're trying to put together, life science and engineering. So those are the expertise that are basically needed. If it is in one organization, that's perfect. If it's more than one organization that wants to come together in order to do that, that's also fine. So, so I hope I answered your question. Okay, guys, I see I encouraged you. Now I have 6 people that responded. 7. Oh, come on, we're more than 70 here on this call. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, Jaron, I see I answered your question. Thank you. Okay, Dana or Aviv, maybe you want to take this question from Shmuel Yerushalmi. Shmuel is asking, what opportunities created COVID-19 pandemic for bioconvergence field in Israel?
Yeah, so first of all, I really don't want to go into too much detail about the bioconvergence because this webinar has its purpose around the infrastructure, and it's really important for us to take this time and to talk about something that all of you came here to listen, and this is how we can make this infrastructure real. So without going into too much depth, obviously the pandemic has different types of influence on all the industries. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. It enhanced some of the things, it enhanced some progress, and I think it more enhanced maybe the understanding that in order to find solutions to big problems or big challenges, we need to do multidisciplinary work. The best example probably is Moderna out of Flagship that has in remarkable time created not only the idea, but an actual vaccine that was then implemented worldwide. And this was something that I think demonstrates quite well the possibilities that bioconvergence has in terms of influence on the different industries and verticals. So there's another question, I think, about the RFI, Yael, so I'm gonna go back to you.
Sure. I just opened here the link that I shared with you. I really encourage you to sign in here. You all will be exposed and able to edit and read this list. So feel free to write here your name, organization, contact info, and what you're interested in. Maybe you can think together about ideas and respond to the RFI together. By the way, I want to emphasize that there is no, it's not mandatory to reply to the RFI. It's just helping us. It doesn't mean anything regarding the steps coming next. You can always be able to answer to the RFP, even if you didn't answer to the RFI. I see it as a great opportunity to influence what is going on. So that is it. Before I'm going to close the questions, the poll I have now 10 people that answered. If you want to answer, I'm going to read another question and then read you the results of the poll. So another question here from Yuval Garini: can an existing company also apply for opening a section under the requirements of the RFI? Of course, an existing company comes with its infrastructure and knowledge how to do things, and we think that definitely an existing company is beneficial. They have their experience, they have their personnel, so definitely that's something that could be helpful. Okay, what just happened here? Answer live, done. Yuval asking, can you copy the link to the Q&A? I'm not sure how I do that, or what do you mean? Do you want to see the Q&A? You can't see the Q&A as participants?
I think he meant to copy the link of your Excel sheet to the Q&A, I think, maybe.
Okay, fine. if that is it, I'll do that in a second. Let's see what else we have here. Sefi, good to see you here. What is the anticipated mechanism? Will it be for profit government organization? So it's for profit or not for profit, up to whoever will build it, but it's not going to be a government organization. It's going to be a private organization that's going to stand on its own. Be profitable or not. It could be profitable and keep the profits to keep on growing, but it's not going to be maintained by the governments forever. So I hope that answers Sefi's question. Okay, Zeev Savior, sorry I missed the beginning of the presentation. The funding is going to include infrastructure investments, manpower, materials. Okay, so that's true. I didn't talk a lot about it, but definitely the funding is for bringing up the environment. So whatever needs to happen, purchasing the equipment, the relevant people that need to be there in order to bring that up, until the environment is up and running. Once it's up and running and there are projects coming in, so the projects are the one that pay for the personnel and the equipment. But to initially buy the equipment, definitely that's something that the funding is for. So I hope I answered that one. Another one from Tafi Danieli. Tafi, are you going to support the applications in understanding the market and research the scope of demand for the services? Most CROs have a very tight margin of profit, and Israel is a smaller community of potential users. So definitely, Tafi, this is one of our concerns. That's why we don't want to repeat existing things and duplicate things that already exist here. We want to grow to the next level into services that are not yet available. Us as government, we try and understand where we want the ecosystem here to go, but you're not going to see in the RFP mandatory services. So we're not going to mention what are the mandatory services. We are probably, if we go to an RFP on this topic, we are probably going to give the bigger picture and bigger idea, and obviously the budget. So we will give the framing, we will give the budget, and then whoever will apply will need to do their own market research, take the risk. We take the risk with you, with our funding, but whoever builds that, you come from the business, we come from the government, we do our best, but we think you know better. So that's why we do it this way. We try to give the opportunities, and up to you to hopefully implement the right thing. So that's that. Let's see what we have here in the poll. Can you see the answers?
No.
Okay, I don't know. I'll have to work on that afterwards. I don't know what went wrong here. But anyway, if there are no more questions, so I would like to thank you all for being here with us. I really hope that was helpful for you to go now and respond to the RFI with meaningful answers for us. And we promise to do our best with your answers and with your time that you're probably going to put into it. So thank you all very much, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Yael. Thank you, everyone.